Hello, good evening. Good evening, everybody. In the last session, we completed chapter 2 or the lesson 2 of Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is financial literacy. Why is it important? We understood about assets and liabilities, we understood about income expenditure, the need to keep income higher than expenditure, and to push the surplus income into buying assets and not liabilities. So assets are those which will give money back into your pocket, and liabilities are those which will take money from your pocket. Continuing with our lessons, continuing with our reading of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now we will enter the chapter 3. We will get into chapter 3, which is lesson 3, mind your own business. The rich focus on their asset columns while everyone else focuses on their income statements. In 1974, Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, was asked to speak to the MBA class at the University of Texas at Austin. A friend of mine was a student in that MBA class. After a powerful and inspiring talk, the class adjourned and the students asked Ray if he would join them at their favorite hangout to have a few beers. Ray graciously accepted. What business am I in? Ray asked once the group had all their beers in hand. Everyone laughed, my friend said. Most of the MBA students thought Ray was just fooling around. No one answered, so Ray asked again, what business do you think I am in? The students laughed again, and finally one brave soul yelled out, Ray, who in the world doesn't know that you are in the hamburger business? Ray chuckled. That's what I thought you would say. He paused and then quickly added, ladies and gentlemen, I am not in the hamburger business. My business is real estate. As my friend tells the story, Ray spent a good amount of time explaining his viewpoint. In his business plan, Ray knew that the primary business focus was to sell hamburger franchises, but what he never lost sight of was the location of each franchisee. He knew that the land and its location were the most significant factors in the success of each franchisee. Basically, the person who bought the franchisee was also buying the real estate under the franchisee for Ray Kroc's organization. Today, McDonald's is the largest single owner of real estate in the world, owning even more than the Catholic Church. McDonald's owns some of the most valuable intersections and street corners in America and around the globe. My friend considers this as one of the most important lessons in his life. Today, he owns car washes, but his business is the real estate under those car washes. The previous chapter presented diagrams illustrating that most people work for everyone but themselves. They work first for the owners of the company, then for the government through taxes, and finally for the bank that owns their mortgage. When I was a young boy, we did not have a McDonald's nearby. Yet my rich dad was responsible for teaching Mike and me the same lesson that Ray Kroc talked about at the University of Texas. It is secret number 3 of the rich. That secret is mind your own business. I repeat, the secret number 3 of the rich is mind your own business. Financial struggle is often directly the result of people working all their lives for someone else. Many people will simply have nothing at the end of their working days to show for their efforts. Our current educational system focuses on preparing today's youth to get good jobs by developing scholastic skills. Their lives will revolve around their wages or, as described earlier, their income column. Many will study further to become engineers, scientists, cooks, police officers, artists, writers, and so on. These professional skills allow them to enter the workforce and work for money. But there is a big difference between your profession and your business. Often I ask people, what is your business? And they will say, oh, I am a banker. Then I ask them if they own the bank. And they usually respond, no, I work there. In that instance, they have confused their profession with their business. Their profession may be a banker, but they still need their own business. A problem with school is that you often become what you study. So, if you study cooking, you become a chef. If you study the law, you become an attorney. And a study of auto mechanics makes you a mechanic. The mistake in becoming what you study is that too many people forget to mind their own business. They spend their lives minding someone else's business and making that person rich. To become financially secure, a person needs to mind their own business. Your business revolves around your asset column, not your income column. As stated earlier, the number one rule is to know the difference between an asset and a liability and to buy assets. The rich focus on their asset column while everyone else focuses on their income statements. That is why we hear so often, I need a raise. If only I had a promotion. I'm going back to school to get more training so I can get a better job. I'm going to work overtime. Maybe I can get a second job. All these things. So, if you look at what has been focused on in this, the initial part of lesson 3 is no matter how much income you have, no matter what business you might be doing, if you are not building assets parallelly, which will support your business and which is an outcome of your business, you still are not financially secure. School teaches you to take up a job. It will train you professionally. It will give you skills by which you can take up a job and earn money. But if you are not building assets which will give you money, which will earn for you, you don't have your own business. So the most important thing, the most important lesson that Robert Kiyosaki talks about in this section is you have to mind your own business. Mind your own business means no matter what you are doing, keep building your assets. Even if you are an employee, if you keep building your asset column, that will give you, that is your business, and that will give you returns over a period of time. Even if you stop working, that will create wealth for you. So focus on your asset column and not on your income column. Income column is important, but if income is not being translated into assets, then it is not productive. It is not wealth generation, is what Robert Kiyosaki is talking about. So something that needs to be emphasized here, financial struggle is often the result of people working all their lives for someone else. If you keep working for somebody else, then you will continue to have financial struggle. In some circles, these are sensible ideas, but you are still not minding your own business. These ideas all still focus on the income column and will only help a person become more financially secure if the additional money is used to purchase income generating assets. The primary reason the majority of the poor and middle class are fiscally conservative, which means I can't afford to take risks, is that they have no financial foundation. They have to cling to their jobs and play it safe. When downsizing became the in thing to do, millions of workers found out their largest so called asset, their home, was eating them alive. Their asset was costing them money every month. Their car, another asset, was eating them alive. The golf clubs in the garage that cost $1,000 were not worth $1,000 anymore. Without job security, they had nothing to fall back on. When they thought what they thought were assets could not help them survive in a time of financial crisis. I assume most of us have filled out a credit application to buy a house or a car. It's always interesting to look at the net worth section because of what accepted banking and accounting practices allow a person to count on assets. So one day when I wanted a loan, my financial position did not look too good. So I added my new golf clubs, my art collection, books, electronics, Armani suits, wristwatches, shoes, and other personal effects to boost the number in the asset column. But I was turned down because I had too much investment in investment real estate. The loan committee didn't like that I made so much money from rent. They wanted to know why I did not have a normal job with a salary. They did not question the Armani suits, golf clubs, or art collection. Life is something tough, sometimes tough, when you do not fit the standard profile. I cringe every time I hear someone say to me that their net worth is $1 million or $100,000 or whatever. One of the main reasons net worth is not accurate is simply because the moment you begin selling your assets, you're taxed for any gains. So many people have put themselves in deep financial trouble when they run short of income. To raise cash, they sell their assets, but their personal assets can generally be sold for only a fraction of the value that is listed on their personal balance sheet. Or if there is a gain on the sale of the assets, they are taxed on the gain. So again, the government takes its share, thus reducing the amount available to help them out of debt. That is why I say someone's net worth is often worth less than they think. So you need to pay attention to another term here, another word, net worth. Net worth is the sum total of all the things that you own based on the value of that thing at this point of time, including your possessions, your gold, your jewelry, all the real estate you have, all the bonds you have, books, artwork, everything that has value. When you add the value of all of that you have, that is the net worth. So Robert Kiyosaki says most of the times your net worth is worth less than what you think it is worth. That means if you think some your net worth is 100 units, but when you actually try to convert that into money by selling that assets that you hold, that will be much lesser than what you think it is. Start minding your own business. Keep your daytime job, but start buying real assets, not liabilities or personal effects that have no real value once you get them home. A new car loses nearly 25% of its price you pay for it the moment you drive it off the lot. It is not a true asset even if your banker lets you list it as one. My $400 new titanium driver was worth $150 the moment I teed off. Keep expenses low, reduce liabilities, and diligently build a base of solid assets. For young people who have not yet left home, it is important for parents to teach them the difference between an asset and a liability. Get them to start building a solid asset column before they leave home. Get married, buy a house, have kids, and get stuck in a risky financial position, clinging to a job and buying everything on credit. I see so many young couple who get married and trap themselves into a lifestyle that will not let them get out of debt for most of their working years. For many people, just as the last child leaves home, the parents realize they have not adequately prepared for retirement and they begin to scramble to put some money away. Then their own parents become ill and they find themselves with new responsibilities. So, what kind of assets am I suggesting that you or your children acquire? In my world, real assets fall into the following categories. See, Robert Kiyosaki is giving all of us very sensible, practical advice. Children, as they are growing up, the students who are listening to this right now, have to understand what assets and liabilities are. You have to reduce on your expenditure. You should stop buying things that will lose value over time. You should start buying things that will gain value over time. And you should slowly start building your assets, however small they are. So before you leave home, before you complete your education and leave home to look out for your own jobs, you should have built some assets out of the money that you had saved through your early years. Robert Kiyosaki also gives an idea of what these assets are. According to him, what are the assets that one needs to build? So he lists them in the following categories. One, businesses that do not require my presence. I own them, but they are managed or run by other people. If I have to work there, it's not a business, it becomes my job. Understand this? If you own businesses that does not require you to be there, then that is your business. If it is necessary for you to work there, then it is your job. The second one is stocks. 3, bonds. 4, income generating real estate. 5, notes. 6, royalties from intellectual property such as music, scripts, and patents. Next, anything else that has value, produces income, or appreciates and has a ready market. So these are the categories of assets that Robert Kiyosaki talks about. The first one is business that does not require you to be present there. Stocks, bonds, income generating real estate, notes, royalties from intellectual property, and anything that has value which will appreciate over time and has a ready market to sell it off. As a young boy, my educated dad encouraged me to find a safe job, but my rich dad encouraged me to begin acquiring assets that I loved. If you don't love it, you won't take care of it. I collect real estate simply because I love buildings and land. I love shopping for them and I could look at them all day long. When problems arise, the problems aren't so bad that it changes my love for real estate. For people who hate real estate, they shouldn't buy it. I also love stocks of small companies, especially startups, because I'm an entrepreneur, not a corporate person. In my early years, I worked in large organizations such as Standard Oil of California, the US Marine Corps, and Xerox Corp. I enjoyed my time with those organizations and have fond memories. But I know deep down I am not a company man. I like starting companies, not running them. So my stock buys are usually of small companies. Sometimes I even start the company and take it public. Fortunes are made in new stock issues, and I love the game. Many people are afraid of small cap companies and call them risky, and they are. But that risk is diminished if you love what the investment is, understand it, and know the game. With small companies, my investment strategy is to be out of the stock in a year. On the other hand, my real estate strategy is to start small and keep trading up for bigger properties and therefore delay paying taxes on the gain. This allows the value to increase dramatically. I generally hold real estate less than 7 years. So, one emphasis that Robert Kiyosaki is making is you start minding your own business, keep your daytime job, but start buying real assets and not liabilities. What he does frequently is to buy real estate. He buys real estate, as it appreciates, he sells it off, buys a bigger one, waits for it to appreciate and sell it off, and keeps on doing this. He says he generally hold real estate for less than 7 years, and he also likes buying stocks and shares. For years, even while I was with the Marine Corps and Xerox, I did what my rich dad recommended. I kept my day job, but I still minded my own business. I was active in my asset column, trading real estate and small stocks. Rich dad always stressed the importance of financial literacy. The better I was at understanding the accounting and cash management, the better I would be at analyzing investments and eventually starting and building my own company. I don't encourage anyone to start a company unless they really want to. Knowing what I know about running a company, I wouldn't wish that take on anyone. I wouldn't wish that task on anyone. There are times when people can't find employment and starting a company seems like the best solution. But the odds are against success. 9 out of 10 companies fail in 5 years. Of those that survive the first 5 years, 9 out of every 10 of those eventually fail as well. So only if you really have the desire to own your own company do I recommend it. Otherwise, keep your day job and mind your own business. When I say mind your own business, I mean to build and keep your asset column strong. Once a dollar goes into it, never let it come out. Think of it this way. Once a dollar goes into your asset column, it becomes your employee. The best thing about money is that it works 24 hours a day and can work for generations. Keep your day job, be a great hardworking employee, but keep building that asset column. As your cash flow grows, you can indulge in some luxuries. An important distinction is that rich people buy luxuries last, while the poor and middle class tend to buy luxuries first. The poor and the middle class often buy luxury items like big houses, diamonds, furs, jewelry, or boats because they want to look rich. They look rich, but in reality, they just get deeper in debt on credit. The old money people, the long term rich, build their asset column first. Then the income generated from the asset column buys their luxuries. The poor and middle class buy luxuries with their own sweat, blood, and children's inheritance. So if you had paid attention to what is being read out here, Robert Kiyosaki strongly suggests that you keep your day job and start building assets by minding your own business. Don't start a company unless you want to have one and unless you want to do something of your own. Because this is a very important statistic. 9 out of 10 companies that are started will fail in the first 5 years. And those that survive, if 10 of them have survived the first 5 years, even out of those 10 which survived the first 5 years, 9 will fail. So less than 1 to 2% of the companies will succeed. Most of them will just fail off. So if you don't have the dedication, commitment, and the sacrifice required to work towards with making your company stronger and bigger, have your job, invest on assets. Have your job, build your asset column, and slowly make your assets work for you. That is what Rich Dad, that is what Robert Kiyosaki recommends. A true luxury is a reward for investing in and developing a real asset. For example, when my wife Kim and I had extra money coming from our apartment houses, she went out and bought her Mercedes. It didn't take any extra work or risk on her part because the apartment house bought the car. She did, however, have to wait 4 years while the real estate investment portfolio grew and began generating enough extra cash flow to pay for the car. But the luxury, the Mercedes, was a true reward because she proved she knew how to grow her asset column. That car now means a lot more to her than simply another pretty car. It means she used her financial intelligence to afford it. See, one thing that is very important is rich people don't spend on luxuries right away, first at the beginning of their journey. It is the poor people and the middle class people who spend on luxuries to look rich. So, if you are spending on luxuries to look rich, you are actually becoming poor. But what do the rich do? They build their businesses, they build their asset column, make the assets work for them, use the surplus that the asset is generating for them to buy luxuries. So you are not working extra to pay for your luxuries, you are actually making your money work to pay for your luxuries. This is a very important lesson that you all have to pay attention to, think on it, and internalize. Don't buy something from the future. Don't buy something from the future. You buy from the things that you have already built. You buy from the surplus that you generate out of your assets, right? Most people impulsively go out and buy a new car or some other luxury on credit. They may feel bored and just want a new toy. Buying a luxury on credit often causes a person to eventually resent that luxury because the debt becomes a financial burden. After you have taken the time and invested in and built your own business, you are now ready to learn the biggest secret of the rich. The secret that puts the rich way ahead of the pack. Now, once you have learned how to mind your own business, Robert Kiyosaki says, now he will be teaching the biggest secret of the rich people, the secret that puts the rich way ahead of the pack. What is that secret is the next chapter or the lesson 4. Chapter 4 and the lesson 4 is the history of taxes and the power of corporations. We still have about 6 to 7 minutes left in this session to complete our 30 minutes, but since we have to start the new chapter, we will start the new chapter fresh in tomorrow's session. But right now, the chapter that we have completed or the lesson that we have completed is mind your own business, which is a very, very important lesson because only those people, even if they are in a job, only if you start building your assets slowly, if you start building your investments slowly and make those investments pay for your life and your luxuries, you will continue to be in poverty, you will continue to be in financial struggle. So the very important thing to do is have a stable job, no problem. Have a safe job, no problem. Have a day job, no problem. But with the money that you are earning from your safe, secure, stable day job, you have to think of ways to build your assets. To build your assets, you need to have surplus money. So, to have surplus money, you have to make sure that your expenses are reduced. So, if you have 100 rupees income, reduce the expenses significantly so that you are left with money, you have left with surplus money to spend on buying assets. And with that surplus money, don't buy liabilities which will take away more money from you. Don't buy luxuries, don't buy jewelry, don't buy a new car, don't buy paintings and other art and all the things that will not give you money but will only take money from you. But instead, build assets, buy assets with whatever surplus you have, and keep on doing this month on month, year on year, and over a period of time. The surplus of your income that you have pushed to build your asset column in the form of small businesses that you invest in, the stocks, bonds, or whatever form of investment that you have done, which will appreciate over time and give you returns, that asset column will continue to add to your income. You might be earning 100 rupees from your job, but you will be earning a little more from the assets that you have built, and the surplus of your income and the income that you are generating out of your assets, that going back further to buy more assets. So this cycle continued for a few years will make you rich. And once you understand this, once you know how to mind your own business and build your asset column, the next lesson will help you how to understand taxes and how to use the power of corporations. That is the fourth lesson. That is the next chapter that we will be reading and understanding in the next session, that is tomorrow. So, these lessons that you are learning from this book are powerful lessons. Recall them, revisit them, think about them, and let it build in your mind and let it become stronger and stronger and change your behavior and drive your behavior to becoming towards becoming more and more financially responsible, literate, and intelligent, so that you can build more and more wealth. See you all in the next session tomorrow. Take care. Good night.